you do this? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Unreal Engine live stream. I'm your host Alexander Pascal, and joining me today, Zak Parrish and Jess Hider, which is awesome. So glad to have y'all on. But first, it's the news. So I'm gonna need to borrow this real fast.
Take it.
All right, cool. So first things first, we have a couple of new posts on Showcase. Let's see here. First one is the Martian VR experience. We're, happy to announce, of course, we've announced this a little while back, that Unreal Engine 4 is going to be the engine of choice for Martian VR. We have a nice new Showcase post that got posted up about last week, around the same time the stream was happening, so it wasn't available for that news. But come check it out. It's really cool. It gives you some details behind what made them make the choice of Unreal Engine, and also a few of the kind of behind the scenes as far as actually how it was made, and of course a few good screenshots. So that's a great showcase. Come check it out.
I think the important question is, will it make you feel like Matt Damon?
You have to eat a few potatoes, like basically raw, and then it's perfectly like the Matt Damon experience.
Yeah.
And then throw yourself around the room once for bruises for effect.
Gotcha.
Because that was a big deal in it. I love the book for this, by the way. I read the book first and then saw the movie, and very good adaptation, I'd say, book to movie. So awesome work to all them too, though that's not related to Unreal Engine 4. All right, next up. Animation and rigging toolkit arrives on the marketplace. So the art toolkit, which is kind of like saying ATM machine, the art toolkit is actually now on the marketplace for ease of finding it. We've gone ahead and just kind of moved it there. I cannot remember exactly where it was home before, but I want to say it was on the Learn tab. But now, yeah.
It was in the engine.
Was that just it?
Yeah,
Okay.
you would download it and you'd find it buried in a folder in the engine.
And it's not necessary for every game, so I guess that makes a lot more sense. They separated it out and put it on the marketplace. Okay, cool. So come check that one out if you're not already familiar with the art tool. It works in Maya. It's awesome for rigging up your characters, and it's just great for general biped rigging and being able to retarget all of that to various kinds of bipeds.
Every time you say art tool, I flinch.
Oh no, I'm going to keep saying the art tool, because just calling it the art feels weird.
How about the auto rigging tool?
But that's too long.
Okay.
That's like trying to say your entire title all at once.
I just checked out. You got it.
All right. Pow. Oh. Up next, we have the Community Spotlight, which is first up. Sorry. Somebody here hijacked my computer.
I did nothing of the sort.
No, of course not. So the first thing that we always like to do when we enter the Community Spotlight is go to answers.unrealengine.com in order to say thank you to the people on the Answer Hub. It is a little bit slow to load. And normally we have...
I've never seen that before, though.
Oh, you and the sarcasm today. You should have seen him before the stream. Super not sarcastic at all.
I'm actually never sarcastic.
Ever, at all. So, if you come on to answers.unrealengine.com, this is our Answer Hub. It's a place where you guys like to post questions to each other and also report things like bugs and other issues. But if you come in here and help each other out with various game development questions, you get karma points, and every week you get put on the high scoreboard. You're being a little close there. A little close there.
Go on. Keep going.
Okay, so
you're on a roll.
Denny R, awesome work. You're number one this week. Good work, buddy. Let's see here. When we had Lena on Ramage, you were one of the karma earners, and then Shadow River, you are one of our classics.
I think when you say Ramage, like you gotta really roll
like
the
the
R.
Ramage.
Ramage.
But congratulations, this is Ramage's second out of 3, so if you get one more week on this top score list, you're going to get a prestige badge. For you other two, you already have prestige badges, I'm pretty sure, because you're always up here, and I'm always so thankful to have everyone. For everybody else, thank you for participating, and, come in here and get more points for the next one, and you'll get a badge out of it, and a shout out.
Cool.
Sweet. So next up on this is, some of you probably saw on Twitter, Facebook, etc. I've been kind of talking about it a little bit, but there is a amazing Donatello rig and animation that EM Win, or maybe I am Win. Probably I am Win. I'm going to say EM Win just to bother him because I feel like it was I am Win.
Are you sure it's not Lamwin?
This is what you get when you start trying to be creative with your handle.
And but this is what's impressive is he had posted it, and a lot of people were like, "That's cool," and it just looked like a video from the actual movie, and he's like, "No, substance and UE4," and so he actually has a great breakdown here of just like some behind-the-scenes look at how it was created, and just how it was rigged up. And I've got this up on the forums here. Yeah, it's called 1990 Donatello. Of course, all spotlight and news items will be available links will be available in the description on YouTube Archive. And also, this is just like on the forums you can find. I'm just going to click this one really fast so you can all...
I was going to say, please play it, because it's so good when you see it moving.
Oh, but the playback is so...
Hang on.
Hang on.
It's going through the thing. There we go. Look at that. It looks like it's straight out of the movie, right?
Yep.
It's great
Yeah,
lighting,
it's not bad.
great effects. Just wanted to show that one off. I am Win Art. Good work.
I've been wrong twice today, but I thought that movie came out in '89.
That one?
Anyway.
I don't know. I mean, well, there was like 3 movies, right, where they were all in like the suits.
Yeah.
But I think this actually proves that they need to do a new one, and instead of doing that kind of like stylized turtle people one, they just do this. They 3D render like a dude in a suit instead of actually having a guy in a suit.
So I actually saw one of those suits at the Science Fiction Hall of Fame in Seattle once. They're a lot smaller than you'd think, and
Whoa.
the years have not been good to the suit.
I'm sure they're terrifying,
They're
like
starting
Five
to-
Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, they're kind of starting to fall apart.
Oh.
Creepy. Okay, let's see here. Next up, Satellite Command. This is awesome. The Jamps had been posting about this, and we're going to play a quick trailer in a second, but the release date for Satellite Command has been announced for tomorrow. Which I can't remember. He was saying that he was going to come by and perhaps drop codes off either chat today or maybe next week. And remember, next week's when Tim's going to be on to do the UE4 Jam stuff. But he might be dropping some codes in for the game in chat. So congratulations, Jamps. This is a really cool game, and we're going to play the trailer for it real quick. Awesome. Yeah, great work. And also, Zach was telling me that Styx, Shards of Darkness, Styx will be on pre-order coming up soon.
Starting today.
Today?
Yeah.
Today.
That rolled across my Facebook feed earlier today. So Styx is a UE4 stealth platformer by Focus Interactive.
Yeah, if you
really
played the
loved
previous
first
one, it's great. Yeah, I really like that first one too. Cool. And then the last thing on here is a tutorial series of really interesting stuff here. But Jonas Molgaard, I apologize if I got your last name wrong, but we've talked about Jonas before for some of his awesome little things that he's made. But he's compiled together all of his tutorials, UE4 related projects, and stuff that you can get your hands on too here on the forums. It's a tutorial list from Jonas. This will also be, like I said, in the description, available to click on and check out. But it's a series of videos. Most famously, he does a video here where he uses the canvas render target blueprint feature to knock holes in stuff, which is really cool. We've shown that one in a couple other places. I think we spotlighted it before. And just, yeah, he has tons of great tutorials. And if you, like I always like to call out, if you have an awesome tutorial series or an awesome art station or any kind of videos, games, releases, etc. that you have, send them over to me. I would love to spotlight you and talk about your projects. But this is what we have for y'all today. Check out Jonas's list, and I'm going to exit out of here and let Zach have control of the keyboard.
Cool.
So yeah, we have a little bit to talk about with new child actor component templates.
Yeah, or just child actor templates.
Okay.
Yes. But first you do want to talk a little bit about where that evolved from, yeah?
Yeah, so I wanted to take a minute and let me throw this into present mode. So I almost never use PowerPoint. So if I screw this up, I'm just going to blame Alex repeatedly.
It was my fault. Always blame me.
There we go.
Anything that goes wrong in the engine or in Twitch streams, it's always my fault.
So as of Unreal Engine 4.14, we have a new feature called child actor templates, which are actually really cool, and they at least made me start to use child actor components a lot more than I had previously. And so I wanted to jump on today's stream so I could talk about them and how cool they are and all the neat things you can do with them. But it occurs to me that several of you out there might not know very much about child actor components as a thing, so I wanted to talk about that first, and then we'll explain how that fits into the new feature. So real quick, here is my over like 10,000 foot view of child actor components, and then we'll follow that up with a demo. So let's see, I need focus on this thing. Awesome. So what are child actor components and why do we have them? So there's a limitation in the Unreal Engine framework. One actor cannot contain another actor. That's actually why you have components. So an actor can have components, and the components are used to define what an actor actually does, but you can't have an actor that is a component of another actor. It doesn't work that way. You break the chain of the framework.
Okay.
So this same limitation extends to blueprint. By that, a blueprint cannot be nested within another blueprint. It would be neat, and child actor components are kind of a way to push past that barrier.
Yeah.
They're a way to find some middle ground. Now, how do we use them? Well, a child actor component is just a component that you will add to your blueprint. It has a property called the child actor class. You'll see all this in a minute. I'll actually walk you through it, and you'll see how we use it. Typically, this will point to another blueprint, and the overall effect will be like you have a blueprint inside of another blueprint, with a couple of caveats, and we'll talk about what those are. And you'll see there's kind of a fun trick. You can do this at any time just by taking an existing blueprint and dragging it into the components list of any other blueprint, and a child actor component will automatically be set up, which, again, I'll show you all that here very, very shortly. Now, under the hood, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do this slightly out of order. I had this, as I click through this, you see I have this really nice, very good looking.
It was all planned, and now it's just throw it out the window.
Yeah, I'm just going to light the plan on fire. And what I'm going to do is, so now that we've talked very briefly about child actor components, let me just jump over to Unreal. We'll give a quick demo of child actor components, and then I'll jump back. We'll talk a little bit more about them, and just so you kind of have some context of what these are and how they work. So I'm inside the content examples project. If at some point you're watching this and you'd like to follow along, you can entirely inside of that project. I'm just going to create a brand new level, and it can just be like the default plain Jane level where nothing's really going on. And I'm going to grab the floor and make it bigger because the tiny little floor means inevitably I'm going to fall off it at some point. And we'll jump over into world settings, which that TV is like 1 billion miles away right now. I'm going to try to set the game mode to something where I've got a character walking around. I think if I use game mode HUD, that gives you an actual first-person-like character, which will be pretty useful. So yeah, okay, this is good enough. We don't really care about the fact there's a HUD. I just want this kind of first-person style camera. It'll be useful here in just a moment. So let's say I'm trying to build something along with some friends. I'm trying to build a wall panel that already has a door inside of it. Now this is a super simple example. This is all purely academic, just to make what we're building make a little more sense. But let's make a brand new blueprint. And it'll just be based on actors, so it's just a blueprint that can live in the world, and we're going to call this CAC test. So it's a very boring name, child actor component test. And we'll open this guy up, or this thing up. I don't want to be sexist about it. And we will drag that up here. Now, of course, every blueprint is really just an empty container, and you need to give it some components to make it able to do something, and then you need to give it some behavior via the event graph or the construction script. So what we're going to do And this, by the way, this is a whole lot easier if you happen to have a second monitor. So if it looks like I'm struggling to work with one monitor, don't worry, I am. Let's go over to the content browser, and I'm going to look for a particular blueprint that I know is in here somewhere. If you search for door, you're going to find BP door. And I just want you to know that that exists real quick. And I want to point this out. If I go under the Add Component window and we just search for child, you'll see child actor. So you can add this like this. And then if we take a look in its details panel, which I should make this nice and big so everybody can see. So
there you
select,
go.
And then there's his property right there, the child actor class. And I could set
you get that
this
door.
to door.
There you go.
Ah. Now what that just did, it looks like that blueprint now lives inside this blueprint. And that's pretty close. We'll talk about what's really happening shortly. I just want you to see it and know that it's a thing. Now, I'm going to temporarily just delete that real quick and show you the way that I typically do this. I don't think I ever create a child actor component from the component dropdown. I always do this. You just grab a blueprint, drag it into the component panel, and it creates one. It's all set up, and everybody's happy. So if I now come out here to my content folder and we close out our filter, let's go ahead and compile this blueprint. And now if I take this blueprint and I drag it into the world, it looks just like that door. So I can hit play, I can walk up to this, and it's fully self-contained. All of the behavior of that original door blueprint still lives here. It's just now I can embellish on it. I could have multiple blueprints all kind of bolted together. So at a mega high level, that is what a child actor component offers. The ability to take a blueprint and make it seem, at least for all intents and purposes, like it lives inside of another blueprint. Now, knowing just that, let's go back over to our list of stuff. So under the hood, child actor components do not actually change an actor into a component. The Unreal Engine framework doesn't allow for that. What it actually does is it spawns a version of your other actor. Your child actor gets spawned as a part of the constructor, like the construction script.
Okay.
So if you spawn a blueprint that has a child actor component into your game at runtime, like if for some reason we spawned that blueprint which contained the door in at runtime, then the child actor component would then have to be spawned after the parent. If you've placed it already, like I'd already placed the door into our level, then it just maintains that reference. I mentioned this because if you're taking notes, spawns are expensive in terms of gameplay. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have them, doesn't mean you should avoid them at all costs. Just know that they have a cost, and at some point you could end up slowing your game down a little bit. So think of the child actor component itself as an attachment point. That component that you add into your blueprint is just the local transform where your other actor is going to be parented in. So I guess if you really wanted to sum it up, what happens is the child actor component spawns a new version of the actor and just parents it right to the component. It's like an attachment. As a general rule, though, this is always worth mentioning to folks, you generally want to avoid using too many components on any given blueprint, or any given class for that matter. How many is too many? There's no number for that. Depends on what each component is doing. But keep in mind, like when you spawn something into the game, it's got to also create and serialize all of those components. So if you have a single object comprised of 40, 60, or 100 components, you'll probably feel a pretty major hitch.
Yeah.
It's like when your friend comes over for the weekend and when they show up, they've got like 18 different suitcases and you have to spend the next half hour helping them unload their stuff. When that happens in a game...
What kind of friends do you have?
When that happens in a game, though, that's just like a hitch. It's like, oh, you come along with all this baggage, everybody has to stop while we bring the baggage in, and then you lose a couple of milliseconds. So just remember, back up one, smart developers use all things in moderation, including moderation. All right, so now why would you use child actor components? There's a lot of reasons for this. Some of them are philosophic. It kind of depends on personal preference. They can be a really good way to compartmentalize the construction of a blueprint. Basically, it allows you to take a blueprint thing you want to build and break it up into a whole bunch of individual parts, focus on the building of those parts one by one, and then bring them all together into one massive, more important and useful construction, kind of like Voltron. They can also be used to distribute workload across multiple artists or developers. So you work on one child component and you work on another, and then I'll form the head and we'll. I'll put Voltron. I'll put that on the bed shortly, but it's too cool not to have some fun with. Also, I mean, think of kit bashing as a development approach, right? You could end up in your project with just a whole bunch of cool bits and bobs that you can just bolt together, and stuff will just work, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
If the part or component that you're building needs its own components, then you have to use a child actor component. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And if you're okay with the trade-off of having more physical assets in your project, like when you open up your content browser, if you're okay with seeing a lot more things and in return you get more focused functionality where this one thing is just its own self-contained little bit or bob that I'm going to bolt on like Arduino or something, then child actor components might be your bag.
All right.
Now, editing them. One of the major limitations of child actor components, at least up to this point, is that they have been very difficult to edit or control within their parent blueprint.
I wonder if this is where templates start coming in.
This is where templates come in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm teeing myself up here, and you're trying to take the wind out of my sails, but we're just going to...
Done!
We're going to just keep rowing.
Oh, my wind now.
Traditionally, there was no path to update the variables of your child actor. So you'd add your child actor component, you get that set, and if you needed to make changes, you had to go back to the original class and make updates. And it wasn't necessarily nice, but you could still do it. If your child actor is anything more than a self-contained black box, then you need to treat it like a completely separate blueprint and use blueprint communication to make any changes. This is actually still true. There are some mechanisms in place to make that communication a lot easier to handle, but you cannot think of a child actor component like a completely attached component that you have easy access to from inside the parent. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means here in just a moment. So boom, enter child actor templates. So child actor templates bring us one step closer to true blueprint within blueprint interaction. They're going to make this feel a whole lot easier. This is a Unreal Engine 4.14 and later feature.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you're still on 4.13,
this is all new.
Yep. If you're on 4.13 and you're trying this, it's not going to work, and I'll point that out if you email me. So next. When you create a child actor component, you now get access to the child actor template, which you'll actually see in just a minute. Essentially, it is a list of all the exposed variables that are on that child actor so that you can make adjustments and edits to them. So let's have a quick demonstration.
Awesome. I like your little cue card for it, too.
Right? Well,
Nice.
if I don't do that, I lose track, and I get caught up in stories and whatnot. So temporarily, no, you know what? Let's leave this in here. So I already added a little door blueprint component. That all makes sense and is great and all. But let's do some stuff. I'm going to make a couple of minor changes to our door blueprint. Now, these are things that if you were following along at home, you'd want to do the same thing. So I've got the blueprint, door blueprint, BP_door blueprint. Thank you, Zach. This is already included in the content examples package. What we're going to do is we're going to make it so we can change the color of the door very quickly. So we got this door mesh. If you need to double check, you can open up its its material, and notice that its base color is set to a parameter called color. That'll be useful. And no, I don't want to save. So what we'll do is we'll grab the door, we'll drag out a reference to it. I'm going to do this very fast. We'll make a dynamic material instance from that, like you do. I'm not going to bother setting that to a variable, though I could. I guess if I wanted to talk to it later, I usually do. But we will just set a vector parameter on that. And of course, the name for that will be color. Now, I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Let's open this guy.
There's no such thing as
up.
cheating in game development.
Oh, there totally is. It's just it should be encouraged.
It's
Don't cheat when you play, but
It's
definitely
just-
cheat while you're building.
it's just being clever, which can also get you into trouble. You know,
Yeah, I could regale you with stories, but I won't.
about being clever.
That asset didn't actually come from your game.
Oops.
All right, so anyway, all I did was copy paste the hex value into the default value for this color. Now I'm going to right click and promote that to a variable, which we'll call door color. And then just for the fun, I'm going to compile. And in the door color variable properties, we're going to take category and set this to door variables. I can't type from this far away, and I have to stare at my fingers, and it's all very awkward.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've given the category a name. You'll see why I did that shortly. For now, let's just compile. Let's save. We come back over to our child actor component test. Let's do another compile over here. Also, just kind of for the fun of it, let me come over here to our content package, and I'm going to search for a wall. And somewhere in here, yeah, we got like these trim walls, and having one monitor is just the worst thing ever. Let me drag this up like so, so it's thinking it's got to load it into memory, and as soon as it's loaded, it's going to put it over here as a static mesh component. Thank you, Unreal. Awesome. All right, and then real fast, we're just going to make some quick changes to this guy. So let's focus up on it, rotate it around. That's not super useful in that current format, but we'll fix it. We'll just scale this down. Scale snapping. You're killing me. And there we go. So now we have like a native, just a regular static mesh component, and now we've got our door attached to that as well. So that's kind of neat. Let's add another one. Actually, you know what? Hang on. Let's not just yet. Change my mind. I want to talk about the actual child actor component. So here we are. We've selected our child actor. And if you take a look over here in the details panel, here's the new feature that we've been building up to all this time. This didn't used to be here and will not be here if you're using a version prior to 4.14.
Yes.
It is the child actor template, and what it is a tiny list of all of the details that you have access to edit on this child actor. And if you take a look,
there's door variables.
There's the door variables category that I created, and there's door color. So now I can make changes to the actual door color. Ooh. Now, of course, I could add other things to this as well. You can have as many child actor components as you want. I don't want to kill a whole bunch of time doing that, but like just for the fun of it, we could go over to Spotlight. There's this cool following Spotlight in this project as well, and we could drag that in and give that a second to load and compile all the shaders and whatnot. And now,
hey, guess what? You freaked out chat. Everybody's super thrilled with this.
Are they really?
You showed them how to change colors of a door, and
I know.
Several adults have lost their minds.
Hey, if you've ever actually tried to, so I'll.
Oh no, I've been there, man.
Like
I've been there.
Actual transparency, I did not use child actor components very much back in the day because of things like this, because their editability was super limited. And now that I have access to a template where I can make these kind of changes, I find myself reaching for them more and more often. They've just made the usability as a whole much smoother. So now here's the kind of self-contained follow blueprint. It's a Spotlight that follows you as you get close. You might have already seen it before. And if we take a look under its default parameters, there's already the light color and the detected color. Now we can already make changes to these and they'll just update because the blueprint was already set up to support that.
Nice. Yeah, it makes it very nice and modular.
Now, there are some catches to this, right? So I can compile, we could jump over into our game, we can play, and all of this is just going to work. I mean, if I back away, it turns green, I set it to green, the door does its thing, and they're all just completely self-contained blueprints. So you've got a nice modularity of construction. What you don't have access to, and I'm going to mention this in my list of caveats, is if I take this blueprint now and I make a copy of it, I do not have individual per instance access to those properties, meaning this door can't be green and this door be red. All you're doing right now is you're changing that default value for the child actor itself.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not to say you can't differentiate and make these changes, but you'd have to, the onus would be on you to rig up something clever in the construction script or at runtime to make those changes on your end.
Yeah, otherwise they all change. Basically,
Exactly.
so yeah.
Yeah, because you're just changing that default value.
And it's just like instancing, essentially, of...
We could show it real fast. If we come back out here to our child actor component test, and we go over to our door, and we grab those door properties, clicking on a tiny arrow from across the room is super fun. And let's make it, I don't know, like a violently pink door.
Violently pink.
Now when we come out here, our doors are whatever color that actually turns out to be. I'd have to ask Crayola, and I probably don't own the rights to the name of the color anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the highest level, you're right, it was magenta. So at the highest level, that is the child actor template. It just gives you access to any of those editable variables, and it's worth pointing out, if I go into the door, notice that there's my door color. I just added it right there, and I had the ability. I didn't necessarily have to set it to editable. I tend to do that anyway, though. It's just a matter of habit. Okay, so there's our very fast demonstration. Some caveats. Some of these we've already kind of talked about.
Yep.
They are not per instance controls. So each individual copy can't have its own settings by default. It's something we've talked about. What is it? What you're trying to hold in?
I'm sorry. They said your hair is violently magenta, and now I'm just like I'm trying not to laugh at that.
That's the inside joke. That's what I'm hoping somebody would catch on to. Anyway,
everything has to be your hair. Of course, it all leads back to your amazing hair.
Moving right along. So Anyway, so we have actually discussed on our end making this more of a per instance change later on. That's something that we want, but we don't exactly have a time frame for when we're going to do that. It's just something that would be very interesting and would take the usability of this feature and kick it up to even the next level. You cannot modify the components of the child actor class. What that means, to put it like into direct terms, is if we go into the blueprint we're building, if I click on BP door, it's not like I can change out the mesh that is currently being used for the door.
You couldn't delete off the cube that's like the overlap cube to it kind of thing.
Correct. So all of that is just there. Now, if I wanted to make any changes of that sort, I could set up the appropriate script to drive those changes and drive it all through variables and talk to it that way, and that works. But natively, I don't just have access to make those changes on a kind of a one-to-one ratio. Also, you cannot convert a child actor component instance into its own blueprint at this time.
Okay.
Just little things like that.
Yeah.
Now, some bonuses. These are just some points I wanted to mention before we get completely away from the topic, because before using child actor components, I was actually a pretty big proponent of blueprint components. A proponent of components.
Yeah, that
Legit.
works.
And I get asked this question every now and then, why would you choose one over the other? So I wanted to make sure I discuss this here. So just as actors can't contain other actors, components cannot contain other components, and that's kind of important to keep in mind. If you are making a blueprint component that needs other components, like it needs to have a mesh component and it needs to have a light component, because what you're building is a bolt-on flashlight for a massive killer robot.
Sure, why not?
Nice.
You can't do that inside of a blueprint component, because a component cannot have components. Now, that component could spawn additional components and attach them to itself, but at some point you're probably doing too much work. So in those cases, you'd probably use a child actor component. And it's kind of mentioned in the third point there. If you need something that is a fully realized accessory that has its own mesh, its own effects, its own behavior, and so forth, then you should probably be using a child actor component. If, on the other hand, you just need something that contains data or just contains behavior, essentially just contains blueprint script, then you should probably be using a blueprint component instead of a child actor component. And only because this question pops up every now and then, if that data that you're adding or whatever that script is requires you to know a local transform point inside your blueprint, then use a scene component. If the actual local transform of it is irrelevant, then use an actor component. A really, I guess kind of like a key example would be like if you made, and I know we're not really talking about blueprint components, I'm trying to drive in as much info as I can in the limited time window I have.
It's very much like, yo dog, you like components? Right. You put components in your components?
Pretty much. But like, so one of the first things I built when we made blueprint components a thing is I made a hover component. You could just bolt it onto a static mesh and the static mesh would just hover. But it was helpful to actually have a local location on that static mesh. So you could make the hover appear to be like located at the center. So you could actually make something more like a hovercraft. And in that case, you would need a scene component. If you don't care about that local relative location, then just use an actor component. I skipped one. So double bonus. Once you create a child actor component, and while the templates give you access to the exposed variables, and that's great, you might need to have runtime access to that child actor. Keep in mind that you have this. This is a native part of a child actor component. I'm going to take just a quick second and show this to you. So over here in Blueprint Door, we're going to do something really hacky, probably kind of boring, but it's fine. Let's make a custom event, which I'll just call Do You Read Me? And then that will just go to a standard print string, and this will just respond, I read you, over.
Okay.
Cool.
Very
and
Martian.
Is it, can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Oh, wow, those are old commercials. So we'll go ahead and just compile that. We'll save it. Now, up here in Child Actor Component Test, let's go over to the event graph. And off of Begin Play, what we'll do, let's grab our BP Door Child Actor Component,
Okay.
drag a wire off this, and say Get Child Actor, like so. This is a reference to whatever actor was actually spawned by this guy.
Okay.
Now, we don't know for certain that it is actually BP Door. This is, if you take a look here, this is just an actor reference, which means in order to get what we need out of it, we have to cast
it. Yeah.
We'll cast it to BP Door. Boom.
Blueprint communications are your friends.
And once you get that access up to BP Door, you can just drag a wire off, and now you can say, do you read me? Cool, and that's all we need. It's just going to fire that off and begin play. So now if we come out here and we hit play,
Immediately there's a do you read me?
Says I read you over.
I read you over, yeah.
And that's just proving to you that you have a successful reference to that child actor and that you can start calling functionality on it.
Yet that was
Okay.
a simple information push, basically.
Right, so you don't have to put in any crazy hooks or do anything nuts in order to talk to your child actors. Just get that reference, cast them out to whatever they are supposed to be, and you can just go from there. Okay, so that's pretty easy. And the last one is the triple bonus is if you want to see how child actor components work in C++, take a look at our Tanks versus Zombies stream, which has been going on for a while now, I think. I'm not sure if it's wrapped up yet or not. But the turret on the tank is actually a child actor. And that's it. That's our entire demo. I guess as a quick overview, the real feature here, the template, is the ability to just have access to those properties
Which is
of
in the
a given child actor component. So
in the
again,
details and in through casting through it. Yep.
right underneath the child actor template property. That's it. That's all there is to it. If there's any questions, be happy to answer them.
Oh yeah, we've got, okay, so on to Q&A from the audience. We have a few questions in here. A couple of them are sort of outside of the spectrum of what we talked about today. Now, if there's any questions that you had that we can't answer here on the stream, feel free to throw them up on the forums post about it, and then I'll see who I can find to get you answers.
What do we do with out-of-scope questions? Do we ask them anyway?
No, because
okay.
there's no point, because you just feel like, oh?
I mean, I might still know. I can say I don't know if I don't know, and I can answer them if I do. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna just throw them at you then. We're just
Or
whatever
I'll
I
be
got.
like, I don't want to talk about that.
All right. So let's see here. Is it possible to change child actor dynamically? So like at runtime, you can go in there and start tweaking and fiddling around through that.
No, it doesn't work that way.
Those instances kind of get baked in.
Yeah, so it's already been spawned. At that point, you'd want to destroy it and spawn another one.
Okay. Okay, cool. Is there, let's see. I'm sorry, that was actually by Pirate Tony. Sorry, I forgot to say who the question was from. Next question is from...
So there's a quick thing. Just as a rando point, if I grab this guy and we do child actor, notice so you have set child actor class, so it looks like you could do it if you wanted to. I've never actually done it, and I'm not sure what the value of that would be. I guess if you knew you needed to swap it out, it would work. I just tend not to work that way. Just keep in mind, you're basically spawning in a new thing at that point. So you could try it.
Okay.
There's the final answer. You could try it.
You could try, but it's not necessarily best part. Okay, cool. Next up, X Twitch. I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced because you have a 7 for a T, which is leet speak for T. So X Twitch. Is there any way to hide the extra CAC and only show the primary BP so you don't have a whole bunch of extra stuff in the scene? E.g. hide static meshes. Yeah, there's a visibility checkbox right there, down there, right there.
And
so
here, I can go to the viewport, make it a little easier to see.
Boop. That's it. And then you can just tell it change visibility at runtime and whenever. So that should be how you do that. Can you change the individual child actor component instance properties from the viewport selection defaults components panel? No, that's what the templates are for. That question's from Durzo. Let's see here. We had let's see.
So at some point in the future, it'd be cool if you could start changing that, like on the per instance basis, right inside the actual editor viewport.
Which is I guess kind of in the feature requests.
That's something that we know we would like, but it's complicated.
It's more about getting the functionality done first, and then all the fancy bits and bobs later. And so this is funny. Puzzabug said, "Could you just talk more about child actors and components?" And then we got a +1 for just have Zach talk more about the when and why you would choose one over the other.
Some of it will be purely philosophical. There will be times when you will just when you could go either way, and you're just going to have to make the call. Child actor components are going to be a little heavier. Oh, that's terrible.
It's the picture of Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, so child actor components are going to be a little heavier, or let's see, they are potentially heavier than, say, a standard actor component, because a scene component and a child actor component have to have that transform data, as well as some other serialization issues that are basically inherent to actors. Basically, the fact that the child actor component is going to create its own actor makes it heavier intrinsically. So if you can use a component will be a much lighter way to go. And if you can use an actor component as opposed to a scene component, then do that, because that'll be the lightest way to go. So it's really, for the most part, it's going to be a performance question. If you make it to the point where you could go either way, then you should probably be leaning more toward component, because it's generally going to be lighter. If you are building something so simple that you don't care and you see the possibility for whatever you're making to expand at some point and have its own subcomponents, like maybe this thing I'm building also is going to need a mesh to represent it and things like that, then maybe it's a child actor component. But even in that case, I would argue that what you would do at that point is go ahead and build it as a component, then make a new blueprint that contained that component and make that a child actor component. So,
I mean, it's an interesting way to kind of pocket the data into something else and then have something else hold it.
You can start stringing these concepts together.
Yeah.
Generally, lean more toward component because they're lighter.
Okay. Yeah, templates are if you need the specific functionality. Otherwise, just
use a child actor component when you need it. If you don't need it, don't use it.
All right, cool. And this one should be pretty straightforward. Sporks asks if a child actor component's parents / owner is destroyed, will the child actor also be destroyed?
Yes. Because it's a child, and when you destroy a parent, the children are destroyed with it.
That's really bleak.
Really sad.
Wow.
That's how parenting goes in computer hierarchies.
Okay. Well, that's just really depressing when you say it in those words like that. But okay, cool. Yeah, that seems to be the core of the questions that we had in for today.
To end on.
Yeah. Oh wait, hang on. One last question, but let's see here. Oh no, you guys, bug reports aren't questions. Nah, you almost got me there. So, all right, if you have any kind of bug reports or whatever, go over to answers.unrealengine.com and report your bugs there about things. But thank you all so much. But that's what we had for the day. Unless Zach, you wanna throw anything else?
I'm good.
You know, tips to get your hair looking so super awesome.
Let's not.
You know, things like that.
Let's keep it focused on Unreal.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, thank you all so much for coming out. Now next Tuesday, Ian and I are going to be doing a training stream on line traces, various shape traces, etc. When you would want to use them, why, how heavy they are, how they actually function, etc. You terrify me sometimes. And then Thursday will be the December UE4 Jam winners announcement, where Tim Sweeney and I will be on here talking about a year in review of UE4 and maybe a little bit about 2017 plans. And mostly it's just going to be him and me playing some games and having a good time. So for all of you December UE4 Jam participants, get ready for that. That'll be pretty exciting. And until next time, it's been fun. It's been real. See y'all.
It's been unreal.